everybody, my name's Sam and I'm a frugalismer on Instagram and on WordPress. I have a blog over at WordPress, frugalismer over there too. I'm here today to talk about the Great British Sewing Bee Series 6 Episode 1 and my thoughts about it. So let's make a start. So there are 12 contestants this year. I think they've extended it a little bit, so we've got 12 episodes to look forward to. I'm not going to really go into any details about individuals. I don't think that's really fair, but more about the challenges and what I thought about them, and then I'm going to set myself a little challenge for myself over the series. So they started off with a wrap skirt. The first challenge is rather than a fit challenge, it's just a working from, everybody works from the same pattern, and it was a wrap skirt, and it's the wrap skirt that's in the Sewing Bee book. Let me just show you the skirt. Now I talked about the wraps, a different variation of the wrap skirt on the last episode, but that's the skirt that they made. And look at that, a beautiful older model, and she's lovely. So that's the skirt that they made. Now you might think, a wrap skirt, that's a bit simple. What you've got to remember with a sewing bee is that, number one, you've got sewers of all different skills there. They're not, although they do say that they're trying to find Britain's best sewist, they do put in people of different sewing levels. So you've got two people at least there that have only been sewing 3 years. I think Alex has only started in 2017, and one of the others have only started sewing in 2017. And I think that's good to show people who haven't sewn for a long time that they can achieve quite a lot. But yes, you might think a wrap skirt is quite basic, but they did have them doing ruler loops on the fastening, which I think is, by anybody's standards, is a tricky little beast. It's fiddly. So yeah, it's not, I think it just settles the contestants in nicely. I mean, if you compare it to the wiggle dress, which was the first challenge on the last series, yes, you would think it was quite simple, but there are still errors to be made, and people still did make a few errors. So you got Nicole's choice of fabric. I would have said, they did sort of say, Patrick and Esme did say, choose your fabric wisely. She went for something with a bit of stretching, and that particular wrap skirt really didn't suit that. And I think had she been making that wrap skirt at home, she perhaps wouldn't have tried to hem it. It would probably have been absolutely fine unhemmed, but because that's part of the challenge, she would have had to have done that. So I think she fell foul of the wrong fabric choice, which is a bit of a schoolgirl error really, but you live and learn, and she pulled herself back on the rest of the challenges. So I think she must be a bit of a magpie, Nicole, because she seems to go for all the shiny stuff. So and I think it's good to show things like that as well, because if you're not an experienced sewer and you're tempted to go for something like that, and you watch this episode, then perhaps you think twice about it. If you're wanting to do a wrap skirt, because this channel is called Frugalism, and it's based on the fact that I try and sew quite as cheaply as possible, if not free. I did find a free wrap skirt from one of the sewing magazines. Let me just see if I've got a note of it. That was issue 57 of Love Sewing. That's a free downloadable wrap skirt. It is a little bit asymmetrical, but I would imagine you could just level that off if you don't want it. The only thing I would say about that is there's probably no instructions, but I think you probably have to work that out. And then there is the Fiore skirt from Closet Case Patterns, because what I'm also going to talk about is not just the patterns that I've got that I could perhaps do as well if you don't have the book. So Kate from the Forward Line has already done, she was very quick to get up a review of the first episode, and she's much more professional than me, obviously, but has gone through all the patterns and what you could substitute it for, or what she thought the patterns were. And I'm going to do a bit of that, because I did sit and I agree with Kate in that they showed a lot more of the pattern numbers this time. So but what I've done is dug through what I've got available to myself as well, and what perhaps I could potentially do as my challenge to myself. So I've got the Fiore skirt from the Closet Case Patterns. What I would say is that is a bit more not a full circle, but it's almost either a quarter or a semicircle. I've made one version of it which hasn't got the wrap on it. I've done the short version, so I've got that. Could download the one from Love Sewing, or I've obviously got the sewing bee book anyway. The one that I would say that I probably wouldn't wear that length wrap skirt on me. I did make one when I first started sewing, which was again a free pattern, but I couldn't find it. But I probably might, if I was going to do that wrap skirt, I might do that one that I showed on my last episode, on my last video, which was a short one with the patchwork. If you've not seen that, then if you just go to my other video, I did show a picture of that on there, which is also in the book. It's just what I forgot to say about the book is that yes, it's got 27 patterns and 27 projects and 13 or 14 patterns in it. Some of the projects are just variations of a theme. So you've got a long and a short wrap skirt, or the short wrap skirt's made out of scraps, or like the midi dress that I wore in my last video. That's got a maxi length to it, which is it a variation really? It's just adding another panel at the bottom, isn't it? So so going on to the second challenge, which is as long as I can remember on the Sewing Bee, it's always been the Upcycle challenge. I think that's what they call it. Yeah, Upcycle challenge, and they've got 90 minutes to do that. And that was taking two perfectly good shirts and making them into something else. I've never upcycled a shirt. I've done lots of upcycling projects. In fact, I've got one here that I'll show you in a bit. The winning one, I could have nailed money on Esme going for the winning one, because it was so avant-garde and so out there. Who was going to wear it? I have no idea. I mean, it's one of those, take two perfectly good shirts and make it into something that nobody's going to wear. I love the idea behind the Upcycle challenge, but sometimes you just get, some of the contestants did. Ali made a perfectly wearable skirt. Liz made a fantastic little bustier thing that I'd have been 20 years younger, I'd definitely have worn it. The ideas are there. In 90 minutes, really, you haven't really got time to execute it very well. Again, the book has got an Upcycle challenge, shirt challenge in there, and that's the one that I showed on my last video. They've got the dyeing project with it, so it's that one, the woman's blouse, and that's made from an old shirt. So the book's sort of kind of following what's been on the series, and you've got a bit of extra there for dyeing, but obviously you're going to need a bit more time to do that. So I'll leave what my thoughts about the Upcycle challenge are with that one. I think I haven't got any shirts to upcycle, so that's not the one that I'm going to challenge myself with. What I have got with me here is a skirt that I bought, and I will insert a picture of the skirt before if I can remember, and this is a top that I made out of a skirt. I'll stand up a bit and then you can see it, and that's the Montevela top. It's a skirt and it's a top and a dress, and I've made this 3 times in all 3 lengths, so you've got a lovely little sleeve detail there. an elastic under the arms. It was a perfect upcycle challenge because it's in panels. I don't think you're going to be able to see because of the pattern, but the underarm there, that's one panel, and it's all quite small bits really. And I kept the original hem. I just kept that in. I do really enjoy upcycling clothes. But I haven't got any shirts in at the moment. Not my last shirts that I bought in a charity. My husband doesn't wear shirts for work or anything. It does special occasions, but they last for quite a while. So the last shirts I bought, they went into an improv quilt that I made earlier this month, back end of last month, which I'll try and put that in as well. I've got a couple of shirts in there, plus some scraps from other projects. So that's that. Moving on to the fit round, which is round 3. They're given 5 hours for that, and I was so pleased. They did vintage tea dresses. So you've got a contestant on there, Claire, who's I think she's a loan doctor, and she's a bit like me. She likes going to the vintage events. I go to there's a couple in, well, it's quite a lot in Yorkshire actually, but none of them I don't think will be going ahead this year. One is in Haworth, the home of the Brontes. I've been to that for a couple of times, and I actually made this dress for the one at Pickering. Let me just stand up and I'll show you. So, move the chair out of the way. You can't see it now, I've got my phone in landscape fully, but anyway, that's it from behind as well. It's probably not a tea dress per se, and it's one of the Gertie dresses. Is this? Can you see that? That's Butterick 6380. And I made it a little bit shorter, probably because I didn't have enough fabric to make it any longer. I tend to buy, if I'm buying fabric, in fact, no, I think I bought this for that project, but I tend to buy in 2 metre lengths if I can. If I've got a full circle skirt, then I'll buy a little bit more. So yeah, let's talk about the theme was, I think it was tea dresses. So it was interesting to see different people's take on it really, because I would have immediately thought 1940s tea dress, but there were some quite out there interpretations of it. So we've got Matt, who did a beautiful 1940s tea dress, and that was it had a Peter Pan collar. And he did it in the collar and the belt. He did it in the same fabric design, but contrasting. So I did 2 different colours on it. And I think I found that pattern, as did Kate, on an Etsy store. Put my teeth back in. It was My Vintage Wish. And it was pattern number 147403. If I've got things right, then I'll be showing a picture of that up in the top right corner. And that was it was really was beautiful. I really did like that. And it was just pure 1940s tea dress. It was lovely. I've got a pattern very similar to it, but I haven't got that pattern. And when I got onto that My Vintage Wish Etsy store, I could have spent a lot of money. There's some beautiful patterns on there. The only thing I would say is that there seemed to be one size. The one that I found was a 36-inch bust and a size 40 hips. There was no hip measurement, waist measurement on it. I could have spent. I did actually have that in my basket, and then I came to my senses and realised that I've got this Simplicity pattern, which Kate picked up. That was very. I think she picked up that it's similar. Maybe not, but I think that's similar enough. No, I don't think she did actually. And that's a Simplicity 1777. The only thing that's missing is the Peter Pan collar. But you've got all these pleats into the. Can't see it on that. Maybe you can see it on the. No, can't see it there. I'll insert a picture, proper picture of it, and then you can see the details. But it's all pleated into it, so I'm quite pleased that I found ones fairly similar without having to spend £20. So yeah, so you go on to Claire's, and obviously she was in her element, was Claire, with that one. I haven't got a pattern similar to that. It had a sort of a really nice. It looked a bit almost oriental collar into it, and she colour blocked it. She made some quite bold colour choices. It probably wouldn't have been my choice, but that's personal choice, isn't it? And I think this was Butterick 6485, numerically dyslexic. And it was quite a complicated piece, and I really liked that one. And Patrick just more or less said straight away, "This is you, isn't it, Claire?" And she said, "Yes, it is." And I loved it, Claire, because they were showing a picture of her riding a bicycle through. Was it Peterborough? Can't remember where she came from. Portsmouth, I think. I might be wrong on that. Sorry. All in a tweeds, and then there was lots of pictures of her in a sort of 1940s do, all in a vintage stuff. So really like that one. So then we're going to Peter, who did, he called it a Hepburn/festival top, dress rather. That had cap sleeves and a big shawl collar. And we struggled to find that, and I think Kate did, but she found some patterns that could be mashed together, and then in the comments of Kate's video, which I'm going to link below because obviously she's more professional than me, but I'm going to link when she was talking about what she was looking for, she showed two patterns that I got in my stash. So she reckoned that you could possibly use this waist panel here, and perhaps the skirt. I think the skirt was more this shape here, for the bottom half of the dress, and perhaps use this shawl collar, this view here that the model's wearing, for the top of the dress. One of her viewers then said, "Oh, it's Butterick 6130." And when I've had a look at it, it is. Peter did say when he was making it, he says, "Oh, it's either a love it or hate it dress." I don't think it really. The shape of it, when you look at the Butterick one, that collar, I don't know. I wouldn't have called it a tea dress, but the shape of it was really nice. But then he did it in some mad tie-dye fabric, which says festival more than it does tea dress to me, but it's personal choice, isn't it? And he did make a bit of because he'd done really well at Mark throughout the whole of it, and then and it was a fit challenge, and he made it a little bit too short around the waistline, so I had to really sort of bodge it in at the back. I mean, he pulled it off in the end. He did what he could with it. One of my friends said that they should perhaps make a feature of it and make it, but they know that you've bodged it anyway, so you've got to do something about it. And then you go on to Marks, which did we went for sort of a 1960s look, which was a big, large, floaty number with the big sleeves, sort of like lots of florals. Just have a quick drink. Do you like my cup? Hey, proper seamstress cup that. So it's a Vogue one, V9239, and Minerva were quite quick to go onto Instagram and show some of the fabrics that have been on, and it was a Minerva fabric as well. So yeah, that was like a tea dress with big bell sleeves on it. Again, it probably did fit the remit. I don't know. They clearly weren't looking for 1940s, and as me did specifically say, it'd be nice to see a modern take on it. So yeah, and that's a modern take, I suppose, isn't it? So yeah. Nicole's did again. The pattern was flashed on the screen, and that was a vintage Vogue. So I don't know whether it will still be available. You might be able to get it on eBay or something like that. And that had these massive long ties on it, and really could be quite elegant. And then she seemed to trim everything, so she had a pom-pom trim, which Esme wasn't sure about, but then both of them seemed to love it at the end. And had all go days at the bottom as well, which must have taken quite a lot of time to do. And then Fiona went for a long one with a ruffle at the bottom. Sadly, Fiona didn't finish hers with the ruffling at the bottom. I spoke about that in my last video, what a painstaking job it can be. And that fabric was from Minerva, fairly sure of that as well. I'll try to be inserting pictures of, obviously can't show pictures from the BBC, that wouldn't be fair. So she didn't finish it. I think another 5 minutes, as Patrick said, another 5 minutes, and I think she got it finished. It's a real shame. So it was a nice pattern as well. It was really pretty pattern. So then you go on to Angelia's, who's what a lovely dress that was. Yeah, it was. And Kate did find that one. That was Simplicity 8249. I'm not going to try and explain what each one would look like. If I can find the patterns, I'll put them up, because what I'm really wanting to chat about is what I found amongst my stash and what I'm going to make. So yeah, she made that in a lovely blue coloured fabric, and she was pretty chill with Angelia. But she didn't finish, unfortunately, so she didn't get the sleeves in. And again, chatting to my friend, I think I'd have been tempted to just say, oh, well, it's sleeveless and turn it under, but obviously the judges know what you're aiming for to start off with, so you're not going to be able to pull the wool over their eyes, I don't think, doing that. But at least it would have looked finished, and it just absolutely, it had all gathers into the bodice. It was really lovely. So it was such a shame. I'm like quite a few people. I think the first week, I think they should have like a settling in week and just sort of get to know them all a bit more and what have you, and nobody gets sent off, and then maybe 2 the week after or something. I don't know how you'd work it. So on to Alex's, which she called a dance floor tea dress, and I couldn't find anything at all like this one. It had a lot going on. I think Patrick said exactly the same. It was a bit of all eras. So it had coat shoulder sleeves. It had a really nice 1920s looking back on it. And then wrap dropped into the dropped waistband, and a high-low hem is what I've written down. So yeah, it was. It had all sorts, and I think his fabric choice let him down, really. He went for a double gauze, I think, and I think this fabric choice let him down, and he didn't finish his sleeves neither, and he tried to sort of say that he wanted it to be that way, but I don't know whether he did or not. I think he ran out of time, to be honest. But I think that was possibly my least favourite, in that I think there was just too much going on. But he gave it a go, bless him, and he's only been sewing 3 years, so I think the best part of it was executed really quite well. I couldn't find a pattern for it, but again, Kate suggested this dress, this McCall's. This is the M7 381. And I think she was suggesting that the top half of it was quite similar. And then I found this new look pattern amongst my stash as well, which has got a coat shoulder on it, which this one here has got a coat shoulder on it. So I guess you could blend those two together if you really want a look to go for that look. But that's not the one I'm going to go for. I don't think I didn't like it enough. So Ali's, I know Ali, so I'm slightly biased in what she does. So she went for the country fair dress, and she went for a button placket down the front. Again, really difficult to execute under pressure and under that time, and it had a lovely handkerchief hem on it, and I found that one straight away. That was Simplicity 8384, and that was fabric from Minerva as well. They put that onto Instagram more or less straight away. She did a really good job. They didn't say no, you know, it were finished, and there's quite a few of them where they didn't say, oh, that's not finished, or it's not been executed well. They just have to choose somebody, and from what I understand, they take a long time to choose a winner as well. So, you know, you don't just get what's on the you see on the TV. Hazel went for an African wax print, which you think would be an unusual choice. It wasn't at all an African wax print. It was just a bit of the yoke at the top and at the bottom, and I think that had a ruffle at the bottom as well. That was a nice pattern. It was bright yellow mostly, and then this African white wax print at the top, and I don't think I found it. Neither Kate or myself found a pattern that matched into that one. Therese did what I think was a So Over It Betty dress. Apparently Lisa Comfort went on to either an Instagram live or YouTube live or something and said it wasn't, but if it isn't, it's near enough. And I have got that pattern, and she gave it away, did Lisa, for International Women's Day, not last year, not the one just gone, last year, and I've still yet to make it up, and it's probably because I never have enough fabric for all that full circle skirt. It's a beautiful pattern, and Therese did a fantastic job of it. She fully lined it. I would say that of all the dresses that have been made, hers was the most simple, and that's probably the route that I take as well. Execute it well, and don't go mad with all the pleats and go days. You've only got 5 hours, and yes, they do have chance to choose their pattern and twirl it. I know that because I've spoken to a few people that have been in it, so they do have chance, but they don't know the size of the model, so you could twirl it for yourself, and you just still have to make adjustments. So they do. It's almost like a practice run. They've got a chance to do that. And Therese's fabric came from Minerva as well. Well, quite Minerva provided. Well, I say it came from. I mean, a lot of these fabrics are available elsewhere. Minerva put up on that they had it, whether they've still got it in stock or not. So I'll put a link to Minerva at the bottom, and you can have a look for yourselves. If I can, I'll probably put a screenshot of it, but I'm not going to go to a lot of trouble finding what the names are. I'm not a salesperson for them, but if you look on their Instagram feed, you will probably find a lot of these fabrics. And I forgot to mention as well in the wrap skirt challenge, the one with the faces, I think that was they had that in Minerva. Now I've seen that in lots of different fabric shops other than Minerva as well. And Ali's, she did it with it's called a rosemary, I think, and that's from the Denim Company. And the two ladies, I think Therese and somebody else, did the same fabric, and that was the Denim Company as well. I don't think they're available from anywhere else. If they are, I don't know of it, but I know as soon as I spotted Ali's, I recognised it because I've had that fabric before. Sorry, going backwards and forwards now. Sorry about that. So yeah, on to Liz's, which was a big hit. She went down to down the 90s grunge line, which was a really good, interesting take. And I didn't spot this. Kate at the forward line spotted it straight away. That's a Shelby Dress from True Bias. And it's one of those dresses that everybody said, oh, I had that in the 90s, and it's one of those dresses that probably suits a lot of wide range of sizes, but she went for the loops again. I don't know, she probably didn't know that she was going to do them in the first, but she obviously had plenty of practice doing it. But yes, it's a tricky one, is that. So it's the Shelby dress it's got a sort of panels all the way down, and then you can put it with splits or not, and that there is a variation on that where you can make a romper as well, and it is a really nice pattern. It's not one that I own, and it is a really nice pattern. It might go in my basket at some point. I am tempted to buy it, yeah. So that's a quick overview of it. So the patterns that I would possibly have gone for, I'll just show you. I've brought my box. This is my box of vintage reproduction patterns. I brought that up with me. I collect. I seem to collect them. Car boot sales, I've often have them, or people that give them to me, or I've got local to me a place called the Recycle Yard, and she often gets them in, and I spotted a lot. Some of them I picked up at sewing meetups in the swaps. Some of the repro ones, not the old ones. They're not everybody's style, are they? So I like them. So what I've brought with me are a couple of 1940s, which I potentially might look at if I'd have been a contestant, would have done in my imaginary world where I'm a contestant on the sewing bee. So this is Butterick. Can't read that number backwards. 5281, B5281. I love that one. I've had that. Look at the line drawings there. I've had that in my staff for quite a while. That's a lovely 1940s, 1946 repro one, retro one they call it. And then this is another Butterick B5209. I did twirl this sleeveless one. This one actually, because this sleeveless one is backless as well. I won't be going backless. And I actually bought this pattern, and I didn't notice it, but it's 6, 8, 10 and 12, and I'm probably on the 14 size range on it, and it were too small. So I twirled it ages and ages ago, so I'm probably even bigger now. But there's a couple more. I mean, I might have, if I'd have known the remit was just not 1940s, just a tea dress, I might have been tempted to use this one. This is a pattern, sew over it pattern, they call it the vintage shirt dress, and she has got a vintage tea dress as well. I've made this 3 or 4 times. One of my favourite patterns. I'll put some photographs of me wearing a couple of them, because I know what I'm doing with it, and it just right fabric would definitely give it the 1940s tea dress vibe, I think. So I might have been tempted by that. I've got, but because I've got this one, and I've had it in my to-do list for such a long time, this one, and it was down to this one, excuse me, and that one. But I think the Simplicity one is much more 1940s. I think I'm going to have a go at that one. It's a little challenge for myself. I'm not going to do it in 5 hours, but I am going to time myself for 5 hours and see how far I get in the 5 hours, and then just see how long it does. There's no way I'm going to do it in 5 hours and rush a hem and make a mess of it, and then have to either unpick it, or I know I can't do this in 5 hours, but I'd be interested to see how long it would take me. The fabrics I've got for it are potentially this lovely little ditzy viscose, which I bought from the Frugal fabric shop, £3 or £4 a metre, I think. Now this is really narrow, and I've had a play with it, and I'm going to struggle to get it all on there, but I think it would be perfect. And then I've got this, which is I think it's silken poly crepe. It's only a small amount of silk. It's not really showing very well on the screen. I'll see if I can get a shot of it and put it. But you can see the lovely drape. You can see it's a lovely drape on it. Excuse me. That's better. You see that? That's probably a better, truer colour. So I think but they're selling this for about £6 a metre, I'm pretty sure, and I got this from Fabworks. I'm pretty sure they've probably still got this in. They had loads of different colourways, and I think it would probably be easier to make in this, because I'm not having to do any sort of, there's no directional print on it or anything. So, and the fabric requirements for it say chalice, crepe back, satin, crepe de chine, jacquard, laundered silk rayons, double georgette, satin, shantung velvet, matte jerseys, soft, lightweight linen, and linen blends. And you could do, I could perhaps do the floral one with the solid one as an insert, but they're two similar weight, I suppose. I think the viscose is a bit more floaty. So we'll see how far we get with that. So I'll come back on and show you what I come up with and how long it took me. So it was a real shame to see somebody go on the first one, and like I say, Angelia had to go, and it's a real pity because I think she would have been a good sewer. I think she was just too laid back. So she wasn't rushing it, which I don't like rushing sewing. It's you're there to enjoy the process. But she's on a show where you're timed, so probably why I'm not on it. So I think that's about all I've got to say about the bee this time. Really enjoyed it. Obviously going in for our pal Ali, she's a good old Yorkshire lass. Fiona I've met as well, so she's second favourite. She's lovely, Fiona. It was. I forgot to mention. I know our friends in the States, well, anywhere other than England, can't get to the bee. Now, I'm a member of the Fold Line close Facebook group, and people were sort of asking how they can get the show, and a few people suggested VPN. Now, don't ask me how you do this. I don't know. We're in the UK. We pay the BBC licence fee. I have absolutely no objections to that. We have ITV, which is free, but there's adverts on. I'm more than happy to pay for content from the BBC. It's free for people over a certain age, and that's why it's a copyright issue, and that's why people abroad can't get it, because they're trying to justify charging us a licence fee. So I don't know how somebody suggested you could get it through Reddit in Canada, and there's my UK TV, which is apparently available everywhere. I don't know. You probably might need a box or a dish for it. I really don't know. If there's anybody that does know, leave comments below. That's absolutely fine. But obviously, I don't know how legal these are. I don't know whether I think some of them were available on YouTube at one time, which I don't imagine for a minute is legal. Not this series, the old series. So what else is there to say? The refashioning. If you're interested in refashioning shirts and what have you, try looking on Pinterest. Number one, that's a real rabbit hole. There's loads of examples of it on there. But another YouTuber, Evelyn Wood, or is it Evelyn? Australian lady. She does some lovely vintage refashions. So she's best of both worlds, in my opinion. I'll link her below. And she did do a refashion of a shirt with a little tie on it, and I'll try and put a picture of it. If I was in my imaginary world, if I was a contestant, that's possibly what I might go for. Another little comment about it always tickles me when people say, "Oh, I've never done anything like this in my life." If you've ever watched any series of sewing bee, there's always an Upcycle challenge. So if you know you're going to be a contestant, surely you would give it a go at home. It just amuses me, does that? Well, when people say, "Oh, I've never done it before," it's like, well, yeah, you'd have a practice, I think, wouldn't you? So maybe they're having us on they haven't done it. I don't know. Anyway, so that's all there is for me now. For now, I'll try to be a bit quicker with my reaction. Claire at Penguin and Pear did an immediate reaction. I'll link her below as well. And there's a lady called Champagne and something who did a profile of all. She you don't see her face, but she's got all the photographs of all the contestants and a little profile in a link as well. I'll link that below because people might be interested in what people do for a living and how long they've been sewing and what have you. It's only a short video, it's in about 3 minutes, and obviously Kate's from the Forward Lines, I'll link hers below as well. It's always interesting, but I thought it might be interesting for me to challenge myself and see where I get with it. I'm still in the middle of scrub making at the moment. I got a 30 metre. We've had 175 metres of fabric delivered this week, of which I've cut 30 metres, and believe me, I've got a new respect for people that work in a fabric shop measuring it all off. So the scrubs take 3.5 metres of fabric per set. So I've been doing it in 7 metre increments to distribute amongst some of our group. I'm going to be cheeky and put our GoFundMe below. If anybody fancies funding it, it would be fantastic. But the demand is still there. We've got getting more and more volunteers by the day. We've got about 30 in our little group. We're at the moment only keeping it local. We're not sending. There is a national group for the lover scrubs, which we tried to get fabric from them initially, and they didn't have any, so we did our own GoFundMe. So we're not doing it. We're not making scrubs out of duvet covers or anything like that. We're buying the fabric that the hospitals want, and we're doing it for Pinderfields Hospital, and at the moment Pontefract Hospital in Pontefract, so I'm West Yorkshire. So this is where we're doing it for. So if anybody fancies sticking a quid or two in, that would be very, very much appreciated. So that's it for me. I'll go back to cutting my scrubs out and what have you, and then I'll see what I can get out of this fabric. I'll see what we come up with. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll be back next week sometime, hopefully before the bee's on, but it's a question of time really. So, and we'll see you again. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and yeah, bye bye. Thank you very much.